Let's begin. The entire session deals with pre-stress concrete. These are the terms which we discussed in the entire session. History and evaluation of pre-stress, principle of pre-stress, methods, and finally end up with applications. Let's start. History of pre-stress. In 1886, Jack of San Francisco applied for patent for construction of artificial stone and concrete pavements, in which the pre-stress was introduced by tensioning the reinforcement rods which set in sleeves. Later in 1904, Eugen Fresnel attempted to introduce a permanently acting forces in concrete to resist the elastic forces developed under the service loads, and this idea was later developed under the name of pre-stressing. He is the father of pre-stressing. He is the first engineer to experiment in pre-stressing. His experimental work takes place in post-tensioning system. He used conical wedges in post-tensioning system. Since the conical wedges are incapable of holding the tendons in tension for a long term, over the passage of time, Fresnel's model proved inadequacy. That is, as the tension in tendon decreases, it will result in loss of compressive stress in concrete. It was rectified by Magnell Blatten. His experimental work takes place in post-tensioning system and he rectified the errors of Fresnel's system. He used flat wedges instead of conical wedges. Another engineer, Hoyer, method of pre-tensioning was named after him as Hoyer's long-time process. His theory was quite successful except for the loss of stress due to long-term effects such as creep, relaxation and shrinkage. His work takes place in pre-tensioning system. Before entering the concept of pre-stress concrete, one should learn about RCC structures, why it is not suitable for unsupported longer span construction. Let's see. We are very well know about concrete is strong in compression whereas weak in tension. Instead of that, steel is used in tension because the steel is strong in tension. RCC comprises of concrete and steel. Concrete is used to resist the compression and hold the bars in position, whereas steel is used to resist tension. The tensile strength of concrete is very minimum, like 2.7 Newton per mm square. So it gets neglected. RCC beams allow crack under service load. This is what the disadvantage in RCC structure, why it is not suitable for longer unsupported spans. Let's discuss with example. Let us consider a structural member like beam subjected to a service loads. The member bend like this. Compression develops at top, whereas at bottom tension developed. Due to this elongation at bottom, the concrete get cracks like this. This is what the main disadvantage in RC structures, why it is not suitable for longer unsupported spans. This is the main disadvantage in RCC structures. This is why we add some tensile steel bars or tendons at the bottom of the concrete section and stretch it so that it can resist most of the tension and save concrete from cracking. This is what called pre-stressing. Now we are going to discuss about pre-stress concrete. In case of concrete, large concrete construction like bridges, dams, skyscrapers, steel reinforcement bars alone won't be sufficient to provide the necessary tensile strength. In this case, pre-stress concrete is being used. Pre-stress concrete can be used for the construction of roofs, floors, walls, bridges, which are as long as longer unsupported spans. Let us discuss with few examples. Consider the bridge which is constructed over a water body. Just imagine this picture is a bridge which is constructed over a water body. If we construct a bridge with RCC, then we have to increase the depth of the span so that there is no enough space under the bridge for ships to pass. In order to avoid this kind of problem, we go with pre-stressed concrete. In pre-stressed concrete, the depth of deck slab should be minimum when compared to RCC structure. This is what the main advantage of pre-stressed concrete and which is used for longer unsupported spans. Next, we are going to discuss about methods, advantages and application of pre-stressed concrete. Let's begin. This picture shows the principle of pre-stressed concrete. The first 2 points represent the RCC member. Third point, tendons are introduced at the bottom portion or a tension zone and stressed. Finally, cut and release the tensile force inside the concrete member. It produces a pre-compressive stress inside the member. Fifth point represents the upward deflection due to pre-compressive force inside the member. The upward force along the length of the beam counteracts the service load applied over the member. Pre-stressing removes the design limitations of conventional concrete and permit the buildings of roofs, floors, beams, bridges and walls with longer unsupported spans. It is used in floor beams, pipes, railway sleepers, water tanks and runways. In RCC structure, we follow some of the design criteria. First one is ultimate strength. Here it means in worst case scenario, structure should not collapse. And then second one is shouldn't be undergo any movement or deflection when a load is applied on the structure. These are the main criteria we follow in the design of RCC structure. In order to avoid cracks, increase strength of the member to reduce deflection, we go with pre-stressed concrete. First classification based on source of pre-stressing. Source of pre-stressing. First one mechanical pre-stressing. Another one hydraulic pre-stressing. Third one thermoelectric pre-stressing, and the fourth one chemical pre-stressing. In mechanical pre-stressing, stretching of tendons is carried out by means of mechanical device such as pulleys, ram, gears and lever. Here Archimedes principle is used. In hydraulic jack or hydraulic pre-stressing, stretching of tendon is done by hydraulic jack. In thermoelectric pre-stressing, tendons are elongated by the application of electricity. Here the word itself indicates the electricity. The fourth point represents the chemical pre-stressing, usage of expansive cement. It is capable of producing internal stress in concrete. Next one. Based on the location of pre-stressing. Based on the location of pre-stressing. Based on the location of pre-stressing, it is broadly classified as internal pre-stressing and another one is external pre-stressing. In internal pre-stressing, pre-stressing steel is located inside the member. Example, pre-stressing of beams. Whereas in external pre-stressing steel is located outside the member. Example, thin cylinders, thin walled members, pipes and shells. Next one, third one, based on the shape of the member, to be pre-stressed. First one, linear pre-stressing. Second one, circumferential or circular pre-stressing. In linear pre-stressing, beams, columns, straight members are pre-stressed. In circumferential or circular pre-stressing, pipes, water tanks, silos are pre-stressed. Next one, based on the amount of pre-stress applied, it is broadly classified as full pre-stressing, limited pre-stressing and partial pre-stressing. That is the important one and question area 2. In full pre-stressing, the level of pre-stressing is such that no tensile stress is allowed in the concrete under service loads. It is called as full pre-stressing. Here, no tensile stress, no cracks are allowed. In limited pre-stressing, the level of pre-stressing is such that tensile stress under service load is within the cracking stress of concrete. It is called limited pre-stressing. In limited pre-stressing, tensile force is allowed but no cracks is allowed. In partial pre-stressing, both tensile force and cracks are allowed. This is what the main difference between full pre-stressing, limited pre-stressing and partial pre-stressing. In full pre-stressing, tensile stress is allowed. No tensile stress and no cracks are allowed. In limited pre-stressing, only tensile stress is allowed within the permissible limit. No cracks are allowed. In partial pre-stressing, both tensile stress and cracks are allowed within the allowable limit. Generally, we use IS 1343/1980 as a code for pre-stressed concrete. In the past couple of days, we upload the pre-stress questions in our Telegram page and Instagram page. Kindly check it if you need. Next one. Based on the sequence of pre-stressing, it is broadly classified as pre-tensioning and another one is post-tensioning. In pre-tensioning, tendons are stretched before laying the concrete, whereas in post-tensioning, tendons are stretched after laying the concrete. In pre-tension system, stress transferred from steel to concrete through bond, whereas in post-tensioning system, stress transferred from steel to concrete through end blocks. This is what the main difference between pre and post tensioning. Now we discuss the procedure in detail. Pre-tensioning, the tendons are tensioned against some abutments before the concrete is placed. After the concrete hardened, the tensile force is released. The tendon tries to shrink back to the initial length, but the concrete resisted through the bond between them. Thus, the compressive force is induced in the concrete. In the pre-tensioning system, tendons are first tensioned between the rigid anchor blocks cast on the ground or in a column or unique mold type pre-tensioning bed. Prior to casting of concrete in the mold, the tendons comprising individual wires or strands are stretched with constant eccentricity or any variable eccentricity, with the tendon anchorage at one end and jacks at another end. With the forms in place, the concrete is cast around the stressed tendon. High early strength concrete is often used in the factory to facilitate early stripping and reduce the losses in the member. When the concrete attains sufficient strength, the jacking pressure is released. The high tensile wires tend to shorten but are checked by bond between the concrete and steel. In this way, the pre-stress is transferred to the concrete by bond most nearly the ends of the beam, and no special anchorages are required in pre-tensioning members. For mass production of pre-tension elements, the long line process called Hoyer long line system is generally used in the factory. In this method, the tendons are stretched between the two bulkheads several hundred meters apart so that the number of similar units may be cast along the same group of tensioned wires. The tension is applied by means of hydraulic jack or any by movable stressing machine. The wires or strands, when tensioned singly or in groups, are generally anchored to the abutments by steel wedges. The transfer of stresses to the concrete is usually achieved by large hydraulic or jack screws, by which all the wires are simultaneously released after the concrete attains the required compressive strength. This is what the simple procedure in followed in pre-stressing concrete. Next one. The picture shows the step-by-step procedure followed in pre-tensioning system. First one shows applying tension to tendons. After tensioning the tendons, concrete is poured inside the mold. Casting of concrete. Finally, cut the tendon, a compressive force induced in the member. Transferring of pre-stress. This is what the stage-by-stage procedure we followed in pre-tensioning system. Post-tensioning. In post-tensioning, tendons are tensioned after the concrete has hardened. Commonly, metal or plastic ducts are placed inside the concrete before casting. After the concrete hardened and had enough strength, the tendon was placed inside the duct, stressed and anchored against concrete. Grout may be injected into the duct later. This can be done either precast or cast in place. In post-tensioning, the concrete units are first cast by incorporating ducts or grooves to house the tendons. When concrete attains sufficient strength, the high tensile wires are tensioned by means of jack bearing. On the end face of the member and anchored by wedges or nuts. The forces are transmitted to the concrete by means of end anchorages, and when the cable is curved, through the radial pressure between the cable and the duct. The space between tendons and duct is generally grouted after the tensioning operation. Most of the commercial pattern pre-stressing systems are based on the following principle of anchoring the tendons. First one, wedge action, producing a frictional grip on the wires. Second one, direct bearing from rivet or bolt heads formed at the end of the wires. Third one, looping the wires around the concrete. This is what the main principle followed in anchoring the tendons. Pre-tensioning is ideally suited for medium to long span in situ work. Medium to long span in situ works. Where the tensioning cost is only a small the cost of the whole job. Hence, it is more economical to use a few cables or bars with large forces in each than a large number of small ones. Post-tensioning is invariably used for strengthening concrete dams, circular pre-stressing of large concrete tanks, biological shields of nuclear reactors. Post-tensioning is ideally suited in concrete construction work involving stage-by-stage pre-stressing. Most of the long span bridge structures are constructed using post-tensioning system. Well, the procedure of post-tensioning and pre-tensioning and their applications are over. Now see the stage-by-stage construction of bridges by using the method of post-tensioning system. All types of time-staggered construction methods can be used in conjunction with post-tensioning facility. This is how the bridges are constructed by using post-tensioning system. Now discuss the difference between post-tensioning and pre-tensioning system. It can be performed at the project site as well as at precast yards, whereas pre-tensioning is done only in precast yards. Corrosion of steel is less compared to pre-tensioning. Here corrosion of steel takes place because of moisture that slips through the cracks in concrete will cause corrosion in steel. There is more flexibility in the design. The pre-tensioning tendons can be configured to almost any shape. As per the requirements, the tendons may be bonded or unbonded, but not this possible in pre-tensioning system. And the last point, they are more prone to the anchorage failure as the compressive force are transferred at the beam ends. Here, the compressive force transferred by the means of end blocks. So, anchorage failure will takes place. But this is not takes place in pre-tensioning system because we use a bond to transfer the stress from steel to concrete. So, the compressive force are transferred over a certain length of bond, they are less prone to anchorage failure. This is what the difference between post and pre-tensioning system. Next, why pre-stressed concrete? Why we go with pre-stressed concrete? These are the important advantages of pre-stressed concrete. Why we prefer pre-stressed concrete? First one, concrete remains uncracked, reduction of steel corrosion, increased durability, good for pressure vessels and more economical. These are the advantages over pre-stressed concrete. Next we discuss some of the terminologies used in pre-stressed concrete. First one, wires. Pre-stressing wire is a single unit made of steel. Strands 2, 3 or 7 wires are wound to form a pre-stressing strand. Tendon, a group of strands or wires are wound to form a pre-stressing tendons. Next one, cable. A group of tendons form a pre-stressing cable. Bars, a tendon can be made of single steel bar. The diameter of a bar is much larger than that of the wire. Anchorage, enable the tendon to impart and maintain pre-stress in the concrete. And the last one, transmission length. The length of the bond anchorage of pre-stressing wire from the end of pre-tension member to the point of full steel stress. These are the terminologies which we used in the entire pre-stressed concrete. Next one, applications. It is mainly used in structural members like beams, bridge deck slabs, panels, roof slabs, concrete silos, concrete pile, thin shell structures, offshore platform, nuclear power plant, repair and rehabilitation works. Finally, the session ends up with application. In the next video, we will discuss the design procedure for pre and post tensioning system. If you like my work, just hit the like button. Stay tuned. Thank you.